Stay calm when everything falls apart. When your world crumbles, remember this. Your mind is the one thing you still control. Adversity is life's invitation to rise, not retreat. Calmness is power. It allows you to think while others panic. Every breakdown carries the seed of a greater breakthrough. Hold your vision steady, for storms only test those destined to lead. 1. Control your mind. It's your last line of defense when everything else fails. 2. Every crisis carries the seed of equal or greater opportunity. 3. Emotions cloud judgment. Calmness is the gateway to clear thinking. 4. Persistence fueled by faith turns setbacks into comebacks. 5. Success belongs to those who remain unshaken when the ground trembles. When everything around you falls into chaos, when the world you carefully built begins to crack and crumble beneath your feet, when the people you trusted walk away, the plans you made unravel, and nothing goes according to what you envisioned, there is still one thing, and one thing only, that remains within your complete command: your mind. Your mind is your final frontier, the place where the storms of life cannot trespass unless you open the door. It is the fortress that must be protected, cultivated, and mastered above all else, for when circumstances rage out of control, when the noise from the outside grows deafening, it is the inner stillness, the power of your own thinking, that will determine whether you rise or fall. Many people crumble under pressure not because life was too hard, but because their thinking was too weak. They handed over their inner authority to panic, to fear, to doubt, to the opinions of others, and in doing so, they lost the only thing that could have saved them. Let me be plain. If you do not govern your thoughts, they will govern you, and when they do, you'll find yourself drifting in a sea of confusion with no direction, no clarity, and no peace. But the person who has trained their mind, the one who refuses to surrender their attitude no matter what is happening outside of them, that person becomes unbreakable. That person becomes a force. You see, we are not defined by what happens to us. We are defined by how we respond, and our response is nothing but a reflection of our mental conditioning. You can lose your job, your money, your relationships, even your health, and still rise if you have mastery over your mind. You can start from nothing, with every odd against you, and still emerge victorious if you train your thinking to serve your purpose instead of feeding your fears. It is easy to think positively when everything is going well, when the sun is shining and doors are opening. But the true test, the real measure of mental strength, is how you think when nothing makes sense, when you have every reason to fall apart and yet you choose to remain composed. That is the power that builds empires. That is the energy that rewrites destinies. Your mind is your engine, and your thoughts are the fuel. Feed it with doubt, and you'll drive yourself into despair. Feed it with vision, with belief, with courage, and you'll go further than anyone expected. But you must make a decision, and that decision must be made daily, even hourly, about who is in charge inside your own head. Is it you, or is it fear? Is it your goals, or is it your excuses? Is it your vision, or is it your past? When life falls apart, you will hear the whispers of your own inner critic. It will tell you to give up. It will tell you this is too much. It will remind you of every failure, every regret, and every painful moment. And that is the moment you must fight back. Not with fists, not with noise, but with clarity. You must say to yourself, I am not my circumstances. I am not my mistakes. I am the thinker of my thoughts, and I choose strength over fear. That choice, made consistently, becomes a habit. That habit becomes character. That character becomes destiny. The man or woman who refuses to allow outside chaos to dictate inner peace is a rare kind of individual. They are the ones who, when others panic, remain steady. They are the ones who, when the ship is sinking, take the wheel. Why? because they understand that reality may shift, circumstances may change, but the mind is a tool that, once mastered, can reframe any situation into a stepping stone instead of a stumbling block. They know that fear is nothing more than imagination without discipline. They know that success is never about luck, but about mindset. And they know that no matter how hard life hits, the mind, when kept in check, can become a launching pad instead of a prison. You were born with that same tool. It's not reserved for the elite, the educated, or the wealthy. It belongs to you, but it only becomes powerful when you choose to develop it, when you become intentional about your inner dialogue, when you treat every challenge as a chance to strengthen your thinking. Don't ask for life to be easier, ask for the mind to be stronger. Don't run from the storms, train your thoughts to be calm within them, because that calmness will make you dangerous, not in a destructive way, but in a powerful way. People will wonder how you keep going when everything is falling apart. They will ask what your secret is, and it won't be a secret at all. It will be your refusal to let your mind collapse just because your environment did. It will be your ability to stand tall mentally even when you're crawling physically. It will be your decision to hold on to hope even when fear screams louder. Control of the mind doesn't happen by accident. It's a discipline. It is built in the early mornings when you choose to focus on what matters. It is built in late nights when your heart is heavy but you still feed your mind with faith. It is built through books, through learning, through reflection, through repetition. It is built by asking better questions, by surrounding yourself with better influences, and by refusing to indulge in the poison of doubt. So when everything falls apart, when the calls stop coming, the doors slam shut, and the people you counted on let you down, you must return to the one place where the real battle is won, your mind. Strengthen it daily, and you'll never be defeated permanently. Control it consistently, and you'll find yourself rising when others sink. Build it with intention, and you'll walk through fire with your head held high. The world may try to take everything from you, but it cannot steal your thoughts unless you give them away. So don't guard them, guide them, use them, because that's the real secret. The mind, when fully disciplined, becomes your most valuable asset in times of destruction. It becomes your vision when you've lost your sight, your motivation when you've lost your reason, your compass when you've lost your way. It is the birthplace of faith, the engine of perseverance, the workshop where every dream is carved out of pain and possibility. Never underestimate the power of a mind that refuses to break. Never underestimate the power of a thought repeated until it becomes belief. Never underestimate what happens when you stand in the middle of chaos and say, "This will not define me," because it won't. Not if your mind says otherwise. Life will knock you down, let it, but don't let it keep you there. Get up with a stronger mind, get up with deeper wisdom, get up with a clear decision that from this point forward you are the master of your mental world. That no matter what collapses around you, what breaks within you will be rebuilt stronger. That no matter how loud the noise gets, your inner voice will speak louder. And it will speak of victory, of growth, of purpose. You weren't born to quit. You weren't born to crumble. You were born to rise, and that rising begins inside your thoughts. So think like a winner before the scoreboard agrees. Think like a leader before the crowd shows up. Think like a champion when all you've got is loss. Because how you think in the dark determines whether you'll ever walk in the light again. And it all starts with one principle. Control your mind. It's your last line of defense when everything else fails. When a crisis strikes, most people freeze. They panic, they spiral, they focus so intently on what they've lost that they fail to notice what's been placed right in front of them. A seed, a possibility, an invisible doorway disguised as destruction, and while pain may shout loudest in those moments, truth still whispers, and that truth is simple. Every crisis, no matter how dark, carries within it the seed of equal or even greater opportunity, but only for the mind that is willing to seek it, to believe it, and to nurture it even when it seems like nothing will ever grow again, because life doesn't destroy without also creating. It doesn't take without offering something in return. But the catch is that most people never stick around long enough to discover that return. They quit. They give up. They mourn their losses so heavily that they bury the very seeds that were sent to save them, and in doing so, they rob themselves of the greatness that could have been born out of their greatest struggle. And so I say to you, if you are in crisis, if the walls have collapsed and the path ahead is buried in rubble, don't just look at what's gone, look for what might now be possible. That was never possible before, because often it is only when things fall apart that we are forced to look in directions we never dared to glance. It is only when comfort is stripped away that courage becomes necessary, and it is only when the plan dies that a greater purpose can begin to breathe. You see, we are all capable of more than we imagine, but it takes pressure to unlock it. It takes crisis to wake us up, to peel away the illusions we've lived under, to burn away the inessential and force us to confront our deepest power. And while the world may scream failure, the wise soul sees freedom, for what looks like an ending to the untrained eye is often just the beginning of a breakthrough. But it takes faith, not blind hope, but the kind of deep, unwavering belief that says, even though I can't see it yet, I know something greater is hidden here. Because seeds don't look like trees, and opportunity in crisis never arrives with fanfare. It comes disguised, wrapped in adversity, and you have to dig for it. You have to choose to believe it's there even when everyone else is weeping and wailing and pointing fingers. You have to rise when it's easier to fall, think when it's easier to react, and ask the right questions. What am I being taught? What can be born from this pain? What strength, what skill, what opportunity is this crisis asking me to uncover? And those questions, if asked sincerely, will begin to reveal what was always there waiting. Because you don't find opportunity in crisis by accident. You find it by decision. You find it by turning your gaze from loss to lesson, from fear to future, and let me tell you something powerful. Greatest success stories in history, the men and women we admire, they didn't rise from perfect conditions. They rose from collapse, from hardship, from betrayal and bankruptcy and rock bottom moments, and what set them apart wasn't talent or luck or timing. It was the ability to take that seed of opportunity and water it when everyone else saw only dust. They saw light in the dark, a door in the wall, and possibility in what looked like absolute ruin. And you have that same ability right now, right where you are, no matter how hopeless it feels, no matter how shattered the pieces may be. Because inside those pieces is something greater than what you lost. Inside the brokenness is a blueprint, a chance to rebuild smarter, stronger, bolder, more aligned with who you were meant to be. But you must choose to see it. You must stop replaying the pain and start rewriting the path, because opportunity never forces itself into your life. It waits for you to notice, to act, to believe that maybe, just maybe, this crisis didn't come to destroy you but to deliver you. And if you can hold that belief even for a moment, if you can catch just a glimpse of the seed inside the storm, then you've already won, because your mind will begin searching for answers instead of wallowing in questions. Your energy will shift from helpless to hopeful, and your eyes will start to notice things others miss: connections, ideas, paths, resources, strengths you never knew you had, and suddenly, very crisis that looked like the end will become the foundation for your next chapter, your reinvention, your rebirth. And yes, it takes courage, it takes vision, and it takes the ability to stand in the rubble and say, there's something here for me, and I will find it. Because let me remind you, diamonds are made under pressure, stars shine only in darkness, and greatness is almost always born in moments that feel like total collapse. So don't waste your crisis. Don't let it go by without extracting its gift, because it does have one, no matter how small, no matter how hidden, and that gift can change everything if you choose to use it. But the seed must be planted, and it must be watered with belief, with effort, with relentless curiosity about what could be instead of what should have been, because the past is gone, the damage is done, but your mind, your beautiful, powerful, unstoppable mind, can still create, still imagine, still rebuild, still rise, and if you'll allow yourself to believe that the worst thing that ever happened to you might also be the best thing that ever happened to you, then you've stepped into the most sacred kind of power. There is the power to turn crisis into catalyst, the power to take what was meant to break you and use it to build something extraordinary, something no one saw coming, not even you, because let's face it, we don't grow in the sunshine, we grow in the storm, and the storm you're in right now is not here to end you, it's here to shape you, to strip away what no longer serves, to test what you say you want and prove what you're really made of. And when you understand that, when you stop asking why me, and start asking what now, that's when the seed begins to sprout, that's when the opportunity hidden within the pain begins to rise, and it won't always be easy to see, it won't always make sense right away, but if you keep going, keep believing, keep digging, the meaning will reveal itself. Lesson will take root, and the opportunity will grow into something you couldn't have planned even if you tried, because crisis isn't just a problem, it's a portal, and if you walk through it with your eyes open and your heart steady, you'll come out on the other side stronger, wiser, more focused, and more determined than ever before. So don't curse the storm. Thank it. Don't resent the struggle, use it. Don't mourn what's lost so long that you miss what's being offered, because every crisis carries a gift, every loss creates space, and every ending is simply the start of something else. Something greater, something more aligned with your destiny, but you've got to believe it, you've got to claim it, and you've got to plant that seed in the soil of your own mindset, even when everything looks barren, because faith isn't about seeing, it's about believing when there's no reason to. And that belief held long enough becomes clarity, then confidence, then action, and then reality, and soon enough, people will look at your life and say, "How did you survive that? How did you come back from that?" And you'll smile because you'll know the truth. What looked like the worst thing that ever happened to you became the best thing that ever happened to you, because in that moment of crisis, you chose to search for the seed, you chose to believe in the possibility, and you chose to rise when everyone else stayed down, and that choice made all the difference. That choice transformed your pain into power, your failure into fuel, your collapse into clarity, and your suffering into a story that now inspires others. So never forget, no matter what life throws at you, no matter how deep cut or how long the fall, there is always, always a seed hidden inside the storm, and if you can find it, if you can water it, if you can wait long enough for it to grow, it will carry you to heights you never imagined, for every crisis carries the seed of equal or greater opportunity, but only the brave, the faithful, and the focused will ever find it. In the face of chaos, when the world is spinning out of control and nothing makes sense, when noise is loud and fear is louder, when people are panicking and screaming and running in every direction hoping something or someone will save them, there is one force, just one, that stands taller, stronger, and more powerful than any storm, the calm, centered, grounded mind that refuses to be swayed by emotion, fear, or frenzy, because in the midst of disorder, it is not more action, not more noise, not more urgency that brings clarity. It is stillness, deliberate thinking, and a quiet mind that sees what others are too distracted to notice, and here's the truth most people never learn. Your calm mind is not weakness, it is not passive or slow, it is your greatest weapon, sharper than any sword, more precise than any machine, because a calm mind can calculate when others are collapsing. A calm mind can observe patterns while others drown in panic. A calm mind can make decisions that change the course of a life while others are simply reacting to their fear. And let me say this with the fire of conviction. Calmness is a skill, a discipline, a spiritual muscle you build. And like any muscle, it requires resistance, it requires training, and life will give you every opportunity to train it. Every mess, every mistake, every failure, every betrayal, every heartbreak, every uncertain moment. It's all been sent not to destroy you, but to refine your power to remain calm no matter what, to hold your peace like a sword drawn not in rage but in wisdom. And when you do that, when you master calm in the middle of chaos, you become unshakable, and that, my friend, is what true power feels like. Not shouting the loudest, not racing the fastest, but standing silently and seeing clearly when others can't even breathe. And how do you build that calm mind? How do you carry peace into the battlefield of life, especially when everything is falling apart around you, especially when the bills are due, your plans collapse, your relationships break, and your world no longer looks like it did yesterday? You start by refusing to make fear your master, by refusing to let outside noise dictate your internal narrative. You take back the reins of your own attention and you anchor it where it matters, on what you can control, on what's true, on what serves you, not the gossip, not the headlines, not the drama that's been built to steal your clarity, because clarity is power and confusion is weakness, and those who lose their calm lose their clarity, and those who lose their clarity lose control, and when you lose control of your mind, you've lost everything. So when chaos knocks, don't run, breathe, center yourself, anchor your thoughts, and know this: your response is more important than the situation itself. Your response shapes the outcome. Your response is the seed of either survival or success. And calmness is not about pretending everything's fine. It's about seeing the mess and choosing not to become the mess. It's about having the courage to slow down when everyone else is speeding up, to think critically when others are drowning in emotion, to act with intention when others are stuck in reaction. Because when you're calm, you access parts of your mind that stay shut. When fear takes over, you unlock solutions that panic hides. You attract people who trust you, who want to follow you, because calmness in a storm is magnetic. It makes you the lighthouse, the leader, the one who holds space for others to breathe again. And don't underestimate how powerful that is, because one calm person in a room full of fear can shift the entire atmosphere. One centered mind can hold up an entire family, an entire company, an entire movement. And if you train yourself to become that person, then no matter what chaos hits, you'll stand, not because you're immune to pain, not because you're lucky, but because you've built your life on the unshakable foundation of inner stillness. And when you operate from that space, you don't just survive storms. You shape them, you redirect them, you use them, and where others see disaster, you see design, you see opportunity. And this isn't theory, this is law. This is the quiet principle the masters have known for centuries. Control your inner world, and the outer world cannot destroy you, but let the outer world control your inner state, and you will always be at the mercy of things you cannot predict. And I'm telling you, the man who can stay calm when everything is breaking, the woman who can think straight when the world tilts sideways, these are the ones who change history, who rise when others fall, who succeed not by chance, but by choice. And I want you to be that person, because you can be. It's not a matter of education or intelligence. It's a matter of intention, of daily practice, of learning to pause before reacting, of recognizing your thoughts and choosing which ones to believe, of creating space between stimulus and response. And in that space, in that tiny moment of stillness, lies all your power, all your wisdom, all your future victories, and it grows every time you choose peace over panic, logic over impulse, stillness over noise. And it doesn't mean you won't feel fear. It doesn't mean the chaos won't get close. It means you won't let it inside. You won't let it build a home in your mind. You'll acknowledge it, learn from it, and then move forward with a steady hand and a clear mind. And isn't that what greatness demands? Not perfection, but poise, not a life without storms, but a spirit that remains still in the storm, a mind that sees beyond the moment, a soul that knows this too shall pass, and when you cultivate that, when your calmness becomes non-negotiable, you become the one others turn to, the one who walks into chaos and brings order, not by force, but by energy, by presence, by the sheer power of composure, and that is influence, that is leadership, that is freedom, and I don't care what your background is, I don't care what's happened to you, I don't care how far you've fallen. If you decide today that your calm mind will be your greatest weapon, then everything changes because you stop reacting to life and start responding to it. You stop fearing the unknown and start preparing for it. You stop letting the waves knock you over and start becoming the one who walks on water, and that may sound impossible, but it's not. It's simply the natural result of inner mastery, of training your nervous system to operate from strength, not survival, and yes, that training is hard, yes, it takes time, yes, you'll fail sometimes, but every time you catch yourself in chaos and choose calmness, instead of confusion, you are wiring yourself for power, for presence, for unbreakable focus, and that is worth everything, because in a world addicted to speed, to noise, to fear, the one who slows down, who breathes, who listens, who thinks, that person doesn't just survive. They rise, they lead, they win, and they do it not by fighting the chaos, but by being so internally still that the chaos loses its grip. Because here's the deepest truth. No one controls your mind but you. No storm can own your thoughts unless you surrender them. No panic can steal your peace unless you hand it over. And you don't have to, you never have to, because that power is yours. It's been yours since the beginning. And if you learn to wield it, if you decide right now that calmness is not optional, that your mind will not be a playground for panic, but a palace of power, then you become unstoppable. Because you'll enter the same chaos everyone else faces, but you'll come out with different results, different decisions, different destiny, and the only thing that separates you is the calmness you've built in silence, in practice, in discipline, and when the storm comes again, and it will, you'll be ready, not because the storm is smaller, but because you are stronger, and that strength, that mental calmness, that unshakable inner stillness, that, my friend, is the greatest weapon you will ever own. There comes a time in every life when the ground shakes, when the plans you built crumble without warning, when people you trusted vanish, when the work you poured yourself into falls apart, and in that very moment, life demands a decision, not from your circumstances, not from your enemies, not from chance or luck or fate, but from you, because right then you are offered a test, and the test is this. Will you react in panic, giving your mind over to fear, your power over to chaos, your direction over to confusion, or will you respond with calmness, with deliberate action, with unshakable purpose, choosing to pause, breathe, think, and take back your control? And this choice, though it happens in a split second, becomes the defining moment of whether you crumble or climb, because panic is the great thief of power. It robs you of your clarity, it clouds your judgment, it inflames your emotions and pushes you to act in ways that serve neither your goals nor your growth. And when you react in panic, you're not choosing from vision, you're not operating from power, you're simply surrendering your authority to your environment, allowing outside conditions to govern your inner world. And make no mistake, that's how most people live. They wake up and check the weather, their notifications, the news, the opinions of others, and they let these external sources write the script for how they feel, how they think, and how they act, which means they're always at the mercy of the world. Slaves to the next crisis, pulled like puppets by fear, but when you respond with calm, something radical happens. Your power returns, your mind steadies, your choices become your own again, and you take the wheel of your own life, because calmness is not weakness, it is not hesitation, it is not inaction. It is the strongest form of mental discipline, the highest level of emotional intelligence, and it is the most underrated superpower a human being can possess. Because in the world of business, relationships, health, finance, spirituality, calmness gives you mastery, and when the world loses its head. The man or woman who keeps theirs becomes the leader, the lighthouse, the one who moves mountains while others are swallowed by the waves. And this is not something you're born with. It is something you build, moment by moment, decision by decision, every time you choose to respond rather than react, every time you create space between stimulus and response, every time you take a breath. Observe your emotions without becoming them. Speak only when your words are aligned with your purpose, and act only when your actions reflect your highest values, because this is the real work, the inner work, and it pays dividends greater than gold, greater than talent, greater than luck, because it shapes your destiny, it sharpens your focus, and it guarantees that you are the one holding the pen that writes your story, not circumstance, not emotion, not temporary trouble, but you, the master of your own mind, the sculptor of your own soul. And what happens when you give in to panic? You lose yourself, you say things you don't mean, you make decisions you later regret, you burn bridges, hurt people, sabotage opportunities, and then wake up the next morning wishing you had just taken one moment to stop and breathe and think, because panic is impulsive, it's blind, it only sees what's right in front of it, and it can't imagine a future beyond the fire, so it screams, it scrambles, it lashes out or shuts down, and in doing so, it leaks your power drop by drop until you're empty, exhausted, and unable to move forward with any real strength. But calm stands in the fire and sees beyond it. Calm walks into the storm and builds a shelter inside it. Calm meets crisis with clarity, knowing that emotion is temporary but decisions are permanent, and that to lead your life well, you must not let passing fear dictate permanent action, so you learn to discipline yourself, to slow down your breath, to master your tone, to control your posture, and most importantly, to protect your thoughts, because your thoughts shape your beliefs, and your beliefs shape your choices, and your choices create your life, and you cannot afford to build your life on panic, on paranoia, on insecurity, because those foundations will collapse the moment pressure comes. But if you build your decisions on calmness, on wisdom, on intention, on knowing who you are and where you're going, then even if the world shakes, your foundation holds, and you keep moving forward while others fall. And this is why some people thrive in crisis. They're not luckier, they're not smarter. They've simply trained their minds to respond, not react, to act from purpose, not panic. And if you want to rise, if you want to win in life, if you want to build something that lasts, then you must become one of those people, and the way to do that is not by waiting for calm to find you, but by creating it, cultivating it, strengthening it like a muscle, so that when the winds come, and they always do, you are not blown off course, you are not overwhelmed, you are not defeated, because your calm mind is your compass. Your calm spirit is your fuel, and in that calm, you find a power most people never discover, because they're too busy reacting, too busy blaming, too busy chasing the next urgent thing, and they never stop long enough to ask, is this reaction serving me or stealing from me? Is this panic helping or harming? And the moment you ask that question, really ask it, you awaken something ancient, something powerful, something divine inside you, the part of you that remembers you were not born to be tossed around by the winds of life, but to direct them, to rise above them, to walk through them with unbreakable peace. And that peace is not found outside. It's not in circumstances or praise or even success. It's in your ability to choose calm over chaos, direction over reaction, self-control over emotional surrender. And I promise you this, the more calm you bring to the storm, the more command you gain over your life, because power is not volume, it is not speed, it is not noise. True power is restraint, it is composure. It is choosing your response with such intention that nothing and no one can pull you into fear without your permission. And the truth is, the world will always give you reasons to panic. There will always be problems, delays, disappointments, heartbreaks, losses, betrayals. But none of these can break you if you don't break your calm, because calmness gives you vision, and vision gives you strategy, and strategy gives you power, while panic only gives you paralysis, regret, and wasted energy. And when you finally realize that every single time you react in panic, you are surrendering your crown, giving your throne away, handing over your power to something unworthy, then you'll become fierce about protecting your calm, you'll guard your peace like a kingdom, you'll treat your attention like sacred currency, and you'll stop wasting your energy on things that do not deserve the power of your reaction, because not everything requires a response, and not every emotion deserves a voice, and not every crisis is worth your energy, but you are worth discipline, the practice, the training required to remain calm when the world tempts you to fall apart. And no, this doesn't mean you become numb or passive or cold. It means you become a master of your own inner world, and when you do that, you rise above situations, you rise above distractions. And you start making choices not from survival, but from strength, not from fear, but from vision. And when you start responding that way, when your life becomes a series of deliberate responses instead of chaotic reactions, then everything changes, your relationships improve, your finances grow, your health strengthens, your mind clears, your purpose deepens, and you begin to build a life not just of success, but of meaning, of peace, of influence. And that is what it means to truly live with power, not to dominate others, but to master yourself, not to chase control, but to walk in it. And it starts with this simple truth: when chaos calls, don't answer with panic. Respond with calm, protect your power, and move forward with the confidence of one who knows exactly who they are and where they're going, because in the end, the world will always reward the calm mind, the steady hand, the composed spirit, because those are the ones who build legacies while others are still putting out fires. Those are the ones who rise while others are running in circles. Those are the ones who lead the way, not because they have all the answers, but because they know how to keep their power, even when it looks like everything is falling apart. And that, my friend, is the secret most never learn. Power is not given, it is held, and it is held by the one who can stay calm no matter what. There's a truth most people miss, and it's this: inside every crisis, no matter how chaotic, terrifying, or devastating it may seem, there is a hidden gift waiting to be discovered, a treasure buried beneath the noise. But here's the catch: that gift won't reveal itself to a frantic mind. It won't appear to someone who's spinning in fear, reacting in haste, or drowning in emotion, because panic blinds you. It narrows your focus to what's wrong, what's lost, what hurts, and what's missing, while calm, stillness, and inner quiet expand your awareness, allowing you to see possibilities that were invisible in the storm. And this is why the wisest among us, those who thrive in chaos, who rise through adversity, who turn failure into fuel, do not rush to escape the crisis. They don't resist it or curse it. They lean into it. They get quiet. They get still. They observe. They wait. And in that stillness, something remarkable happens. They begin to see things others miss, solutions hidden in the shadows, strengths awakened under pressure, doors opening in the exact places where others see only walls, because every challenge is a disguised opportunity. Every breakdown can become breakthrough. Every detour can lead to a higher path, but only if you stop, breathe, and still your mind long enough to see the gift hidden within the rubble, because the gift is never obvious. It doesn't show up in flashing lights or loud announcements. It hides, it tests your patience, it waits to see if you are willing to slow down enough to hear what it's trying to teach you. And most people never get there, not because the gift wasn't present, but because they were too busy reacting, complaining, blaming, or running away from the discomfort to notice it. But here's what the masters know: discomfort is the birthplace of growth. Crisis is the classroom of transformation. And the moment you stop resisting it and instead get truly curious, you start uncovering wisdom that could change your entire life. Because what if this crisis isn't the end, but the invitation, not the curse, but the calling, not the punishment, but the preparation for something greater. And what if that thing you're fighting against is the very thing that came to elevate you, shape you, and prepare you for a level of strength, clarity, and purpose you've never accessed before? Because that's what crisis does. It strips away illusions, it removes the fluff, it forces you to face yourself, your patterns, your fears, your habits, your truth, and in doing so, it gives you the chance to rebuild, not just your situation, but your entire identity, your values, your mission, your vision for life. And while most are trying to return to who they were before the storm, the wisest ones are being reborn into someone far greater because of it. But again, it starts with stillness, and by stillness, I don't mean sitting in silence doing nothing. I mean the kind of internal pause that disconnects you from the frantic pace of the world and reconnects you to the wisdom within, the kind of mental quiet that stops the racing thoughts, the spiraling what-ifs, the obsessive need to fix everything right now, and instead opens space for reflection, for intuition, for insight to rise. And that insight, the message the moment is trying to send you, can change your life if you're listening, because when the world is loud, your power lies in getting quiet. When the storm is raging, your strength is found in anchoring yourself to peace. When everything's uncertain, your path becomes clearer the moment you stop trying to control and start trying to understand. And this doesn't mean you wait passively. It means you act from alignment, not anxiety, from wisdom, not worry, from inner knowing, not outer pressure. Because here's the paradox: the faster you try to escape the crisis, the longer it tends to last. But the moment you accept it, lean into it, listen to it, and learn from it, it starts to dissolve, because you've extracted the gift, you've passed the test, and once the lesson is received, the pain no longer needs to persist. And think about your own life. Hasn't it been in the hardest moments, the times when everything felt like it was falling apart, that you eventually discovered your greatest strength, your truest friends, your deepest faith, or your most profound growth? Because that's how life works. It hides its best treasures inside its biggest trials. Not because it wants to torture you, but because it knows those treasures must be earned, not handed out, and the way you earn them is by staying conscious, staying curious, and staying calm enough to listen, to ask, what is this moment trying to teach me? What is the gift I can't yet see? Who can I become because of this? And those who ask those questions genuinely, not as a trick to speed things up, but from a place of surrender and openness, begin to receive answers in forms they never expected, a closed door that redirects you to a better one, a breakup that awakens your sense of worth, a financial loss that teaches you how to create real value, a health scare that forces you to start living with intention, and those gifts become the seeds of an entirely new season, one where you don't just recover, you rise, you evolve, you emerge wiser, stronger, and more powerful than ever before. But you can't fake your way there. You can't pretend to be still while you're internally panicking. You have to truly do the work. You have to breathe deeper than the fear, quiet the noise louder than the doubt, and make space. Space for the message, space for the growth, space for the insight that can only be heard when you stop running from the silence, because silence is not empty, it's full of answers, and stillness is not weakness. It's the birthplace of power, and when your mind is still, you can see clearly what matters, what's real, what's true, and what's next. And clarity like that is priceless. It's what gives you the ability to choose wisely, to act powerfully, and to navigate the crisis with grace instead of resistance. And that, my friend, is the turning point. Because once you begin to recognize the crisis as a messenger, not a monster, as a teacher, not a tyrant, as a gift, not punishment, you start showing up differently. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this revealing in me? And from there, your growth becomes inevitable, your transformation becomes non-negotiable, and your power becomes permanent, because now you're no longer waiting for peace to return. You've learned how to generate it within, no matter what's going on around you, and that is the real gift, not the outcome, but the upgrade, not the resolution, but the realization that you are not defined by what happens to you, but by how you meet it, how you move through it, how you rise in it, and the only way to rise is to first be still, to stop reacting long enough to reconnect with who you really are, what you truly believe, and what you're ultimately here to create. And when you know that, when you're rooted in that, you can stand in any storm, because storms no longer scare you, they serve you, they sharpen you, they show you what you're capable of, and in that knowing, in that stillness, you discover the ultimate gift that every crisis, no matter how painful, is not just an interruption, but an initiation, not just a detour, but a doorway, and not just a threat, but an invitation to a deeper, richer, and more powerful version of yourself. And all of it begins the moment you get still enough to see it.